Sean Parker spent months dodging FBI agents who were actively hunting him across state lines. The 19-year-old Napster co-founder had accidentally triggered the largest digital piracy investigation in internet history, turning him into one of the most wanted figures in Silicon Valley. Federal agents were raiding offices, seizing servers, and issuing warrants for anyone connected to the peer-to-peer revolution he had unleashed. How does someone go from bedroom coder to federal fugitive to billionaire entrepreneur? In 1999, Parker was a teenager with an obsession for hacking and an unusual talent for predicting internet trends. He had already been arrested once by the FBI at 16 for breaking into corporate networks, avoiding prison time only because of his age. Most people would have learned to stay away from legal gray areas. Parker saw his FBI file as a badge of honor and a preview of bigger battles ahead. When his friend Sean Fanning showed him early Napster code, Parker immediately recognized something the music industry would never understand. This wasn't just file-sharing software. This was the complete destruction of traditional music distribution, wrapped in a simple interface that any college student could use. While Fanning focused on the technical elegance, Parker saw the revolutionary implications and the massive legal target they were painting on their backs. Parker convinced Fanning to drop out of college and move to Silicon Valley, where they set up Napster's headquarters in a cramped office above a bank. Within months, millions of users were downloading billions of songs, completely bypassing record labels, CD sales, and every established rule of the music industry. College networks crashed from bandwidth overload. Record executives panicked as CD sales plummeted overnight. The music industry's response was swift and devastating. Metallica sued Napster directly. Dr. Dre demanded removal of his entire catalog. The Recording Industry Association of America filed massive lawsuits seeking billions in damages. Federal prosecutors opened criminal investigation into copyright infringement on an unprecedented scale. Parker found himself at the center of a legal firestorm that threatened to destroy not just Napster, but his entire future. FBI agents began monitoring Parker's activities, tracking his movements, and building cases that could result in decades in federal prison. The same determination that made him a brilliant entrepreneur now made him a primary target for law enforcement. He was facing potential charges for conspiracy, copyright infringement, and facilitating criminal enterprises on a scale never seen in internet history. Parker's paranoia grew as federal pressure intensified. He started changing locations frequently, communicating through encrypted channels, and avoiding any digital footprints that could be traced back to Napster's operations. Friends described him as constantly looking over his shoulder, expecting FBI raids at any moment. The stress of being hunted by federal agents while trying to run a revolutionary company pushed them to a psychological breaking point. The legal walls closed in throughout 2000 and 2001. Courts issued injunctions demanding Napster filter copyrighted content, an impossible technical requirement that would destroy the platform's core functionality. Parker watched helplessly as everything he had built faced systematic dismantling by legal forces beyond his control. The company burned through millions in legal fees while user numbers continued exploding, creating an unsustainable situation where success itself guaranteed destruction. Napster's final death blow came in July 2001 when courts forced the service to shut down completely. Parker's revolutionary vision had lasted barely 2 years before legal pressure crushed it entirely. Millions of users lost access overnight. The company's assets were liquidated. Parker's reputation in Silicon Valley seemed permanently damaged by association with what mainstream media portrayed as criminal piracy operations. Most entrepreneurs would have disappeared from the tech industry entirely after such a public failure and legal nightmare. Parker's response revealed the difference between ordinary founders and visionary rebels who reshape entire industries. Instead of retreating, he began planning his next moves, analyzing what Napster had taught him about user behavior, network effects, and the inevitable digitization of media consumption. Parker spent the next few years building connections throughout Silicon Valley, sharing insights about social networking and viral growth that few people understood in the early 2000s. His Napster experience had given him unique knowledge about how digital platforms could scale rapidly and create massive user engagement. He became an advisor and investor, quietly building influence while staying away from the spotlight that nearly destroyed him. In 2004, Parker's vindication began when he met Mark Zuckerberg in the early Facebook team. Zuckerberg initially dismissed Parker due to his controversial Napster background, but Parker's insights about social networking, viral growth, and platform scaling proved invaluable. Parker understood network effects better than almost anyone in Silicon Valley, Having watched Napster grow from zero to millions of users in months, Parker became Facebook's founding president, applying everything he had learned from Napster's explosive growth and legal challenges. His understanding of how to build addictive user experiences, create viral sharing mechanisms, and scale platforms rapidly became essential to Facebook's early success. The same instincts that made Napster revolutionary now drove Facebook's transformation from college network to global platform. The irony of Parker's journey became clear as Facebook exploded into mainstream success. The music industry executives who had demonized him for Napster were now using Facebook to promote artists and sell music. The federal agents who had hunted him were creating Facebook profiles. The legal system that had tried to destroy him was now protecting the intellectual property of the company he helped build. Parker's Napster experience had taught him that being first with revolutionary technology often means accepting massive legal risks and personal consequences that later adopters avoid entirely. iTunes, Spotify, and streaming services ultimately proved his vision of digital music distribution correct, but Parker had paid the price for being years ahead of legal and cultural acceptance. By 2010, Parker was worth hundreds of millions of dollars from his Facebook stake, vindicated as a visionary who had predicted the digital transformation of media consumption. The same peer-to-peer principles that made Napster controversial became standard features across social networks, streaming services, and content platforms. Parker had been right about everything except the timing and legal strategy. Today, Sean Parker is worth over $2 billion and recognized as one of Silicon Valley's most influential entrepreneurs. Napster is studied in business schools as an example of disruptive innovation that was ahead of its time. The FBI agents who once hunted him now investigate cybercrime using techniques Parker helped pioneer. His transformation from federal fugitive to respected billionaire proves that revolutionary entrepreneurs must sometimes risk everything to change the world. The key lesson from Parker's journey is that true innovation often requires accepting massive personal risks that seem insane to everyone watching from the outside. Most people avoid legal gray areas and controversial technologies. Revolutionary entrepreneurs like Parker run directly towards them, understanding that the biggest opportunities exist precisely where others are too afraid to compete.